Behind us you can see some images from Ross's previous works, and you'll notice that a big part of your work is working with people, and the people very much make up the artwork. Is this a theme that you have in all of your pieces?
Yeah, I mean, not everything, but mostly, and with the sort of the bigger pieces I do, that's what I like to focus on. I like to make a tool that essentially is empty and allows people to be creative within that space, to kind of perform in front of it. This is something that was in the Window of Liberties, which was, I think, in 2003, and it allowed you just to touch the window and it took a photo of you, simple as that, and then those photos were shown in a loop. So when it started, if you were the first person, it would only show you, and then the second person would flick between you and the second person, and we got up to 17,500 images. But within that, people would come back at the same time of day wearing a different outfit. We had people cleaning the streets who would come at sort of 4 a.m. and take an image. Someone did a fashion shoot in front of it, you know. So again, within that very simple space of just taking a single image. Oh, someone did a stop frame animation ballroom dance in front of it. And again, that's not something I've planned in. That's just what happens when you sort of open it up to people. And so that's what I like doing.
Do you find with your pieces, and certainly last night at the opening, quite a few of us recorded ourselves and read aloud. Are you surprised by people's behaviour when they get in front of a camera?
No.
You haven't seen the footage from last night yet?
No, I'm not, and I encourage it. And you know, I'm very aware that people aren't exactly going to read the lines exactly how I want it, and that's what I want. I want people to just be creative and have fun and perform, as a lot of you, particularly you.
We know who you are. Actually, it's mainly staff.
So for me, that's all part of the fun, kind of looking and seeing and being surprised what people have done.
That's great. So that leads us on nicely to talking about how you came to be involved in open source, and where the concept for Read Aloud came from.
Well, again, sort of based on other, previous works that I'd done, and looking to kind of carry on the themes of that. It just sort of came. I thought through a lot of ideas, and then I kind of hit on the idea of reading, and that seemed to be interesting. And then I don't know. Yeah, and reading together seemed really fun. And then it was a lot more complex initially. I was going to do a sound effects track, so you could read a line, but then you could also choose to do the slamming of the door or the explosion, or only read a single word. It was a bit more complex, so it's been stripped right back down, but and for the better, I think. Absolutely,
and in a way, it's great that you've handed over the artwork to people. People populate the artwork, and that is such an important part of open source culture. What do you hope that people take away from your piece, particularly around the themes of the exhibition?
Well, I guess it's in two parts. One, that they just enjoy performing and having fun in the gallery, and then kind of looking back online and see how they fit in with the kind of the collective, everyone else. That's interesting. And then I'm hoping that because we're giving away all of the data, that people get involved that way. So we create another new work from the work we're recording here. So I'm really, really hoping that element of it takes off, and that will be released on the site quite soon.
So that's another element, of course, of open source culture, remix culture. So you offer your data up freely for other people to remix.
Yeah, so we've written an API so you can access the data correctly, and you can get the MP3, the audio recording. So there's definitely an audio piece to be done. You can access the videos, the stills. Everything's linked to the line. People can do random cut-ups of books. As we progress and we do more books, that data set will become hopefully more and more appealing.
And what's the first book, and what are your plans going forward?
So first book, as you know, is Alice in Wonderland, which I chose because it felt like I know you're kind of cross-section of visitors here, and it felt like it suited everyone, kind of adults and kids, and it was interesting, and the language is interesting, which was important, and so that felt like a good choice. And then we're doing The Raven next, Edgar Allan Poe, just because that's a really pleasant poem to read out aloud. And then I'm going to do Sherlock Holmes. Is my next one, which I've got to do, because I'm marking it all up by hand, so I need to knuckle down and
Any
do
volunteers for data inputting, apply afterwards,
yeah, and that's
please.
honestly not a joke. That would be really good.
Staff, keep your hands down.
Yeah.
So how did it change from your original concept? You said that you thought that you would have a soundtrack initially, and obviously that became a little bit of a layer that didn't need.
The very first idea was that people would only read a single word, but then and there would be this audio track as well, sound effects, but when I sort of worked it through, that's actually not a pleasant experience, I don't think, in a gallery, to sort of go in and to only say the, and then it says you're done, next. That's not very nice, and I think, and I might do it for one book, a short book, just to see what we get, because I think actually the results you'll get will be interesting, it'll look quite fun, but as an experience in the gallery, which again is always important to me, that element is enjoyable, it didn't feel quite right, and I wanted people to read more, basically. And then the sound effects, I just cut it because it was too tricksy, and there was 3 buttons at one point, and that became 2 buttons, and then became 1 button, and if I could get rid of that 1 button, I would, and you know, so it's just been narrowed down to the essence of it, I guess.
How does it feel now that it's been installed? Obviously, last night it was very popular. A lot of people going in recording, many of them in this room. Is that when your piece really comes to life, at the point when you hand it over to the public for them to engage with?
Of course, yeah, yes.
And do you feel it fits with the other pieces in the narrative structure of the exhibition?
The other pieces in the
exhibition?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we met initially, and so I had an idea of what people were doing, but people's pieces have obviously developed, and we've all gone off. But yeah, it feels nice and coherent, the gallery, I think.
That's great. And just as a final question, you've already mentioned about someone animating a ballroom dance. What's the strangest thing you've ever had recording on one of your artworks?
Strangest. We've had... I exhibited this piece, Video Grid, in Korea, and it was in a really popular kind of a World's Fair, and they really funneled people through the space. So I've got... And it was on for about 8 weeks. So I've got, I don't know, like 50,000 of those grids of just people waving. That's all it is. So, and I've exhibited all over the place, and you normally always get, there's always like someone's made a snake, or they've told a story, or there's a comic, or they've copied other people, or that's the one anomaly. And I think it was just because they were being forced through the space, and they were told to just touch one square, leave their thing, and then go. So the natural instinct is to wave, I guess. So that's pretty strange. The Taking Liberties one, which is this one, we had out of 17,500 images, we only had to take 1 out, which was, again, a slightly strange, had a strange look in his eye, the guy. So we took that out, and he was, nude.
Oh no, front of house team, anybody here, look out for that one.
Yeah, so that was strange. And then, I don't know, it's normally just really amazing, the stuff you get by, and people do drawings. I've seen people request jobs, holding up cards, and there was a nice story from when it was on the Design Museum, a little kid went up and used it and pressed it and recorded a video, then kind of had an idea and pulled his kind of dad, and they went down into the gift shop, and the dad bought him a little toy, and then he came back up and he spent, I don't know, an hour making this little narrative with this little monster throughout the grid, kind of popping up and saying hello and talking, and yeah, that was really nice. So it's nice to get all that back and kind of look through it.
That's fantastic. Do you get a chance to look at them all?
Yeah, I do, yeah. When I get it back, I have sort of written a bit of software that allows me to easily just kind of tab through it and look, because it's obviously all kind of moving images, and if it's on for a few months, it's a lot of data to look through. So, sure. But I do, and it's really fun. And actually, I exhibited it once, which was just passively kind of looking through data, but it's not quite as fun, I don't think, than actually just doing it yourself.
So the bar has been set for Bradford to come up with something super quirky that Ross has to find in the...
Well, I think there's some in there last night already.
We won't mention that.
Your good self included.
Thanks a lot, Ross. Thanks so much for such a brilliant piece.
Oh, thanks very much.
And I think people love it. We saw that last night. So thank you very much.
Thank you.